Magpabakuna na para abanse ka. Ini ang inyo gobernador, Bong Lacson, nagahinyo sa tanan nga Negrense, nga magpabakuna na.
Ako si Bayani ang Bayani. Rest back sa COVID. Magpabakuna na para sigurado.
You believe may naloloko pa rin ito? Minsan ang teknolohiya, hindi puro happy at lucky lang. Pag nakompromiso ang iyong personal information at privacy, maaari itong makasama sa ating finances, ekonomiya, social life, love life at iba pa. Halimbawa, pagbukas mo ng email mo, daming messages na nag-o-offer. Di mo naman knows. Daming stalker ah. Ganito kasi yan, bes. Nag-post ka sa social media. Nag-register ka sa isang event. Hiningi nila yung personal information mo. Dahil excited ka at libre, binigay mo naman. Yung personal info mo, minsan, pinapasa ito para sa profiling o direct marketing. Buti ganyan lang. Paano kung ganito? Shocking, no? Pero don't stress yourself dahil meron na tayong batas dyan. National Privacy Commission ang kakampi mo sa iyong right to privacy. Life goal natin, ang maayos at secure na processing ng personal information mo. Know your rights, bes. You have the right to be informed, right to object, right to access, right to rectification, right to erasure or blocking, right to damages, right to data portability, at right to file a complaint. Maaari mo itong ipadala sa complaints@privacy.gov.ph. Kung may iba ka pang katanungan, ipadala sa info@privacy.gov.ph. Galing, di ba? At kung may magkakasala, National Privacy Commission din ang kakampi mo. At may kaparusahan sa paglabag ng right to privacy mo. Bes, ikaw lang ang pwedeng magsabi kung kanino ka magtitiwala. Yan ang ibig sabihin ng privacy. Visit www.privacy.gov.ph.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Huwag magpabiktima. Baka makompromiso lang ang privacy mo.
OMG! Nanalo ko ng BMW! Pero wala naman akong sinalihan eh.
Hi sir! Pa-fill up naman po ng online form namin with free gifts.
Yes, ako yun.
Sir, your 5 million peso loan has been approved. I need to verify your full name, address, and birth date.
My full name is...
Huwag magpabiktima sa mga modus na ganito. Ang personal information na ibinibigay mo ay maaaring magamit ng labag sa iyo. That is why privacy matters. Kakampi mo ang National Privacy Commission. Protektahan ang iyong right to privacy. Piliin ang pagkakatiwalaan ng personal information mo.
Ako po si Jeffrey Tam, rest back sa COVID. Aba, magpabakuna na para sigurado ka, sigurado ako, sigurado siya, sigurado kayo, sigurado sila, sigurado tayong lahat. Magpabakuna na.
Bagong launch ng pineapple laptop?
Hindi pa, patingin nga. Wow, ang ganda niya na. I really have to buy that one. But wait, what? $2,000 for that?
I know.
Ayokong mahal.
Check mo na lang sa ibang reseller. I'm sure may mas cheap pa.
Ito. This is way cheaper, right? Pwede na. Teka, isn't it too much for a single transaction? I might get scammed. Remember, for every transaction, only give out the necessary personal information. Isang paalala mula sa National Privacy Commission.
Can you do a research on this? I need it by the end of the day.
Okay, boss. So where should I start? Remember, only visit safe and trustworthy websites when searching online.
Isang paalala mula sa National Privacy Commission.
Ay, anong oras na? Di pa rin ako tapos. Break nga muna. Uy, may shotstagram pala si Crush. Pakagawa nga ng account para ma-follow siya. Huh? Ano kaya? Gayahin ko na lang yung password ko sa Facebook. Psst! Tandaan, never use the same password on multiple accounts. Isang paalala mula sa National Privacy Commission.
Talaga? Let me check. Grant access to my location? Okay. Pati email address? Psst. Remember, be careful in downloading and granting permission to mobile applications, lalo na sa location mo. Isang paalala mula sa National Privacy Commission.
Technology is reshaping our lives. It dramatically changed the way we live, the way we learn, the way we work, and the way we communicate. Technology has tremendous potential to connect us with one another. But there are still people who remain unreached, disconnected, and deprived of digital opportunities. Tech4ED centers serve as hubs that enable skills training and job opportunities.
We have more than 4,000 registered users, and about 67% are women, and majority composed of students as our beneficiaries. And why women? Because we are gender responsive, so all our programs are aligned with the gender and development program of our province.
Na tutunan ko yung ibang skills na dapat sa ibang schools na dapat per years dapat maano mo lang dito ng mabilisan ng mga months, mga 3 months, makakuha mo lang agad tapos maka-work agad.
This program helped me by finding a job and of course gaining more confidence as well. I was able to gain knowledge about the BPOs, on how does the environment work and how am I going to interact with my future customers.
As of now, as I will the call center agent, so I see that difference because as of now I'm earning more than I have earned before as a tricycle driver.
Good afternoon and welcome to NOLITC's Gender and Development Webinar Series entitled Global Citizenship Education, Respect for Gender this December 7, 2021, streaming live over YouTube and Facebook. According to Childhood Education International, global citizenship education is rooted in developing a sense of shared belonging to the global community. It incorporates the goals of many other related education areas, such as global competence education, 21st century learning, peace education, human rights education, and education for sustainable development. It is a specific part of UN or United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Target 4, which is ensuring inclusive and quality education for all and promote lifelong learning. Global citizenship education is the most powerful tool we have to cultivate respect for the world and each other, to provide our kids with understanding of a diverse world, and to respond to unfamiliar with empathy, to empower youth to lead our societies, to embrace peace, and to activate social or civil participation, and to enjoy our differences. This topic may be something new to some, but I hope that you will stay for the rest of the webinar because I assure you that you will learn a lot from our resource speaker this afternoon. But before that, let us pause for a moment for prayer, the singing of Pambansang Awit, and the Negros hymn.
O labing makagagahom nga amay namon sa langit, mahinuklugon nga laon nga tagtugas ang langit, hangin, kalayo, tubig kag duta. Tanda ining imong timawa, kabay ining pag-ampo, magadulot sa amon sang kabuhi nga himaya. Salamat sa mga bugay nga imo ginpaambit sa amon. Salamat sa kabuhi nga ginadulot mo sa amon nga himpit. Salamat sa maayo nga panahon kag ilabi na gid sang imo katutom sa amon. Bendisyone ang imo katawhan. Bendisyone ang ila mga palangabuhian. Bendisyone ang mga panggas sa amon mga talamnan. Bendisyone ang ilang nga paglugayawan sa iban nga kapungsuran. Kabay makalabot sila nga walay sablag sa ila pagapadulungan. Kag ila binagid, bendisyone ining isla sang Negros nga amon natawhan. Inahalad namon ang ining pag-ampo para sa imo kadayawan.
magiliw kay sa silanganan. Alam ng puso sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting. Sa manlulupig, di ka pasisihil. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw. May hilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdinigdig. Ang bituin at araw niyang kailan pa may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walhagit pansinta. Buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Ang hinigaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo. Sa kita kapamilya, pag-uligay, pag-igay, pag-ibog, madapat mag-ari sa aking na probinsya. Magotog na Negros sa isa katawungan, mapinalang tao, sa buong natangguhan na isakripiso, sa kauswagan, sa sikat tao. Sa kasahan, sabot wala may mapiling sa kalulong. Nanagagos ka nagagos sa ako. Ang matutod na Negros sa akin, isa katawungan, mapilalang tao. Sa unang dampuan na isang kripiso, sa kauswagan, sa sikat tao. Ang matutod na Negros sa lang tao, sa punadang ko ang dati sakripisyo. Pagbulikan, paghigain, paghibog mo, dapat maghari. Para sa kauswagan, ang sikat tao.
Thank you. We greatly appreciate that you took time off of your busy schedules today to join us. My name is Sally Carmon Trio, and I am your virtual host. This GAD Webinars is another pioneering project of NOLITC Tech4ED Center and the province of Negros Occidental that aims to provide relevant ICT-enabled services and content to unserved and underserved communities. In 2020, PhilTechNet awarded the center Pandemic Resilience Award because of its support to teachers and students category. And the ICT, or the Department of Information and Communications Technology, awarded the center Outstanding Tech4ED Center. And this year, TASDA awarded the center 3-star rating for our 3 registered programs, namely 2-star rating for our Contact Center Services NC2, 2-star rating for Visual Graphic Design NC3, and 1-star rating for 2D Animation NC3. The star rating system recognizes and the accomplishments and innovations, improvements that the TVIs have instituted beyond the minimum requirements set by TASDA. And the Learning Center, or the NOLITC, is one of the priority program of our governor, the Honorable Eugenio Jose Bong Lacson, under his 7-point priority agenda, Avance Negrense. And NOLITC also offers various scholarship for our free online training, TASDA certified courses, assessment programs, and other special programs through the Negros Occidental Training for Work Scholarship Program with the support of the Provincial Gender and Development Focal Point System. To join our webinars, you only need to register once. You heard me right, just once. And you will be able to attend to all our webinars. So you don't need to register to every webinar that we schedule. Okay, so let me just remind you to do your attendance, your online attendance. The link can be found in the description box, or you may scan the code that will be flashed in a while. Okay, so please do your attendance, check the description box and find the link for the attendance. And right now, as you can see in the screen or in your screen, there's a QR code. Kindly scan that so that you can already do your attendance. Remember that that is one of the requirements for you to be able to get your digital certificate. And of course, if you have questions later on for our speaker, please don't hesitate to do or to submit all your questions through our online open forum link. And that can be found in our description box, or you may scan the code being flashed on your screen. Okay, please take note of that. And of course, as what I have said, you will be receiving a digital certificate for attending this webinar. But it will only be open, or the evaluation will be open after the webinar, and it will be open only until 6 in the evening. So I hope that you're catching up with me for all that preliminaries, of course. And at this juncture, I would like to take this opportunity to greet our viewers. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so while we are doing that, I hope that if you're joining us through Facebook, you already like our page. And if you are watching through our YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button now. Okay, so first here we have Vance Taveros Cerilia. Thank you so much and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Reyna Reyes Hihastro. Good afternoon. Reyes Magsipok Chuchi. Hi, thank you from Nursery Elementary School, and Sheila Mangao. Good afternoon to you as well. And thank you, Joyce Ann Bayona from Erams West. Okay, the school's division office of Cabancalan City. Wow, thank you so much. Those who are under the school division of Cabancalan really are very supportive of all our webinars, and we are really thankful for that. Ma'am Maria Cecilia de la Cruz, thank you and good afternoon to you as well. Ma'am Mercy Kalimbo from SDO Cabancalan City, thank you so much. And from Pinaginpinan Elementary School, Ma'am Ami Panes Hajeres, thank you so much. Ma'am Mercy Kalimbo, I hope that whatever you will be learning from today's topic or webinar, I hope that you will be able to share it to your students later on. And of course, Sir Kit Panganiban, thank you and good afternoon to you as well. Okay, Ma'am Lilibeth Mayoga from Erams East. A while ago, there's Erams West. Now it's Erams East. Okay, from SDO Cabancalan City as well. Ma'am Shelo Taladoa. Thank you. Ma'am Faith Canlog from Erams West SDO Cabancalan City. Ma'am Hazel Ramirez from Erams West as well. Thank you so much for joining us. And Ma'am, okay, Jeanette Lourdes Siapok. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And I hope that you will stay with us up to the for the rest of the webinar. I assure you that you will really learn a lot from our speaker this afternoon. Without further ado, to kickstart today's webinar, allow me to introduce to you our moderator for this learning session, who will be introducing our resource speaker. Our moderator is a graduate of Bachelor of Arts in Psychology in the University of the Philippines, Visayas. Her respect for diversity and inclusivity is beyond imagination. She does volunteer work, not just in the far-flung areas in the province of Negros Occidental, but even abroad. Yes, abroad. Her passion to uplift the life of women in the community and educate the youth truly touched the lives of her colleagues and young professionals like her. Red, as we fondly call her, is someone who has so much passion for various causes, like women empowerment, gender equality, care for the environment, and the heart for the less privileged. NOLITC is indeed fortunate to have such a dynamic person in its fold. Without further ado, let us all welcome our moderator for today, the acting guidance counselor of NOLITC, Miss Red Dawn Joy Laurente.
Thank you, Miss Sally, for that benevolent introduction. All right, so again, our topic or our learning session for today is about global citizenship education with the following objectives. Number one, to define what is global citizenship education. Second, respect cultural, gender, faith, and other differences. Thirdly, become more aware of the world and beyond. Fourth, to understand our responsibilities as members of the global community. Fifth, to embrace our roles in protecting our planet for sustainable future. And lastly, be mindful about how our local actions impact the greater world. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our resource speaker for this afternoon, who will be sharing his thoughts, experiences, and expertise in global citizenship with special focus in gender equality. Not only that these concepts are buzzwords in the international community, but it is our crucial need in today's reality. Don't you agree? I have seen many parents inquiring if schools are inclusive, organizations adapting safe spaces, and more people with different SOGIs demanding equality. In short, global citizenship and intercultural quotient is a required competency. In this webinar, we will have an expert to make us better understand this concept. He is currently the partner director of American Field Service Intercultural Programs Philippines. AFS is an international organization dedicated to expand the perspectives of the next generation of leaders and empowering them to communicate, negotiate, and collaborate across differences. He is a licensed nurse by profession with an international state of license from the Northern Mariana Islands, and presently taking up his Bachelor of Law in Lyceum of the Philippines Makati College of Law. Wow. He has also worked extensively again as a nurse, but not only that, he was also a program manager and a very active youth program officer. He is originally from Zamboanga City, but now currently based in Cainta, Rizal. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a virtual round of applause to our expert speaker for today, Mr. Froshkan Abdurrahim. Good afternoon to you, Sir Froshkan.
Good afternoon, Miss Ellie. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. It's a pleasure to be here with you right now, and I've seen some of the comments from our chat box, and I'm very appreciative that teachers and students and some of those working from non-government organizations and from offices of the government are joining us in this wonderful webinar. How are you, Miss Red?
Yes, absolutely. We have a varied participants for today, and yes, I am also as excited as them. However, before we really get into the meat of our topic for this afternoon, let us first incite our audience. No, so in the midst of the growing digitalization of our world, and knowing how relevant it is to have the intercultural experience and the global citizenship orientation, can we imbue or inspire our participants with what to expect in this webinar?
Hi, Miss Red. Sorry, I think I have to apologize because I called you a while ago, Miss Sally. I got so used to seeing Miss Sally a while ago, but Miss Red, thank you for that question. I do not want to jump right away in my presentation, but again, the topic is very substantial and very important, because it affects everyone. And being with the organization that champions and focuses on such topics like intercultural learning, gender equality, and as well global citizenship education, it is my desire to actually share our organization's campaigns and advocacies. And as well, I can attest, based on my personal experience, that the focus on global citizenship education and me being involved with AFS intercultural programs in different capacities as a program student. So I was an exchange student myself when I was 15 years old. So I represented Zamboanga City, as you mentioned. I speak Chabacano, Buenos Dias to Buenas Tardes. But I went to the US in such an early age when I was 14 going 15 and embarked on an intercultural learning journey and, went back with a lot of competencies, not just critical thinking skills, decision skills, and as well communication skills. And these are very important skills needed in the 21st century. And it's not just for students, but actually for educators as well this to their students. But it doesn't really mean that, again, in order for you to have global citizenship education, you really have to travel in person and do the exchange, because there are a lot of avenues and initiatives like this one. That's why I responded.
One of this, yes.
Yeah, that's why I responded to the invitation. That is something that I cannot reject, because NOLITC has been our partner for so many years already, and we equally resonates the campaigns and advocacies that the school has. Yeah. But thank you for the invitation, Miss Ray.
Our pleasure. Precisely. With the world today, it's really becoming immensely borderless. And wow, with what you have to bring into the table for this afternoon, we can't wait to hear all of those. So, Sir Froshkin, the virtual floor is now yours. Take it away.
Thank you, Ms. Red. Again, I would like to extend my deepest appreciation to NOLITC, to the entire community, Ms. Tina and Sir Larry, for choosing me and as well the entire organization of AFS. We have presence in more than 60 partner countries here in the network, but we also work with different partner schools and community volunteers in the Philippines. So if you can help me actually present my slide, thank you so much, Ms. Sally. But I was asked of a question a while ago, why is it important nowadays? I mean, regardless of the situation pre-COVID or with the presence of the pandemic, talks like global citizenship education and as well gender equality is of mere importance, actually. So with a global citizenship education, young people, when I did the program myself, I was able to increase my decision and critical thinking skills and able to communicate ideas effectively and work well with others. And I agree to what Ms. Red have mentioned a while ago, that the world is getting smaller and borderless. Hence, our interaction with others should be also culturally sensitive and as well effective. This not only helps the global citizenship education, the talk about it, this not only helps our students or teachers or those who are involved personally and educationally, but eventually professionally. Thus, a global education in the classroom is very paramount. On the other hand, as I mentioned, these are two very important topics that are, as much as possible, would like to merge them in just 1 or 2 hours of my talk. And I might not be able to provide everything because, again, it's very complex and very comprehensive. But I hope that towards the end of the session, you'll be able to pick up 1 or 2 or 3 things that you will start influence your other network, or probably personally you can change the way you do things and how you see things, given the new learning right now. Again, gender equality, besides being a fundamental right, is really essential to achieve peaceful societies, and that's all we want. If you can look at the AFS mission, we want to achieve a more just and peaceful world. But I think it's just proper and necessary that before I proceed to talking about global citizenship education and as well gender equality, I would like to introduce the organization that I'm affiliated with. I've been with AFS Intercultural Programs. Ms. Red have mentioned a while ago that it's American Field Service. We do not use that anymore. We just go by AFS, but we started as American Field Service 100 years ago. So AFS Intercultural Programs began as the American Ambulance Field Service. It's a volunteer ambulance corps created in April 1915. So we have an extensive, long history, but we started during the World Wars I and II. So we have our ambulance volunteers who actually help, transferring casualties from the battlefield to the hospital in the World Wars I and II. And, they came to a realization that in order for us to really achieve a more just and peaceful world is, we do conversations and we do dialogues in order for us to understand each other better. So AFS was transformed from a wartime humanitarian aid organization into a groundbreaking international secondary school exchange. We also work with volunteers. We also provide intercultural learning opportunities with a noble vision to really help build a more peaceful world by promoting understanding among cultures. But right now, as I mentioned a while ago, we are in more than 60 plus partner countries, and we do exchanges, more than 13,000 exchanges a year. That's before the COVID. But again, the pandemic also impacted our organization, but we remain resilient at the same time, steadfast with the operations of our programs. We do have exchanges right now in person, and one of our priorities is actually the safety of our participants. So we are able to manage our programs with the presence of the pandemic with the help of our international partners, our volunteers, our dedicated volunteers who are our driving force, and as well our partner schools. And one of the partner schools in the Philippines is NOLITC. That's why, as I mentioned a while ago, they've been our partner for how many years already. They have hosted students, they have participated in other initiatives and education platforms and programs. So we give our salute to the NOLITC community. But I want you to also focus on the AFS values because again, it gives a foundation to the kind of talk that I will be sharing to you. AFS enables people to act as responsible global citizens working for peace and understanding in a diverse world. It acknowledges that peace is a dynamic concept threatened by injustice, inequity, and intolerance. AFS seeks to affirm faith in the dignity and worth of every human being. So if we consider gender equality, it's actually a human right. So, but in spite of such efforts, but later on we'll also look into the nitty-gritty of such relevant to this. It's still a challenge to really achieving that because not all are aware of such concepts. And I appreciate really NOLITC for doing this kind of initiative. Somehow, one way or the other, we are able to extend and inform or expand our reach to those, especially right now with the presence of the technology, advantage of the technology, we're able to expand our reach so that others, those who are far-flung areas or those living in the city can also learn more about this one. It encourages respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms without distinction as to race, sex, language, religion, or social status. AFS activities are based on our core values of dignity, respect for differences, harmony, sensitivity, and tolerance. And of course, part of it is global competence and global citizenship education. Ms. Ellie, if you can proceed to the next slide, please. It talks more about AFS. Through our international exchange programs, our education initiatives, our volunteerism and advocacy, we empower young people from all backgrounds with essential global skills and the passion for making a difference. And I can relate to my very own experience. I come from a very poor family in Zamboanga City. My father is a fish vendor at that time. My mother doesn't earn that much. She usually, the traditional perspective, if you're a female or woman, you have to stay in the house and take care of the kids. But AFS gave me the opportunity to broaden my perspectives and my horizon, and was given an opportunity to stay in a family in Florence, South Carolina for 10 months. And until now, I'm still in contact with the family, but I've learned so much with that. And also studied in an American high school, which also gave me a different perspective on how we see things inside the classroom. But the good thing about AFS is that we develop student learning journey and curriculum that covers the exchange experience before, during, and after the program. It's actually designed to help students gain global skills, practice social impact, and again, develop their 21st century competencies. And we actually call them AFS superpowers. So those who go on program with AFS, they actually gain their AFS superpowers. If you can please proceed to the next slide. We actually have our AFS theory of change. As I mentioned, part of our programs are really the mobility, classic exchange, in-person exchanges. But right now, we have other programs as well that does not require you to travel in person, go to other countries. We actually do also domestic exchanges because the Philippines is so diverse, and we need to also understand each other in the national context. But our educational methodology and how we help students become global citizens is elaborated in our AFS theory of change. AFS empowers students, not just students actually, but families. They're sending families, the host families, those who will accept foreign students in their family, in their homes. Our volunteers, our staff, and all the people we work with, like NOLITC and the community, it touches with essential global skills and the passion for making a difference. As a global education organization with 100+ years of experience, we envision a world in which people from all backgrounds embrace differences, and that we believe we are stronger because of them. A world where individuals and institutions are empowered to actively work towards advancing global understanding and take action for collective well-being and sustainable development. And I can relate personally on this one because I am Muslim. My mother is Roman Catholic, but my father is a Muslim, and I'm raised Muslim. But I went on an exchange program, and my family is a very religious First Presbyterian family. My host mother, who is a pastor, my dad is a doctor, but they are very religious. And during my time when I did my exchange year, it was that a couple of years after the 9/11 incident and the bombing of the Twin Towers in New York City, and there has been a lot of misconceptions towards Islam and towards the Muslim people. And they were actually very hesitant at first to host someone of a different living faith, especially again Muslim, because again there are a lot of misconceptions surrounding that notion. But I'm happy that through that exchange experience, we were able to understand each other better. So I learned more about First Presbyterian and the religion and how they do things. In exchange, I also shared what I know about my religion and the practices and traditions that I do, my prayers. And it's so heartwarming when I did Ramadan in the US. My host mom also wakes up very early in the morning to prepare food for me. So that's the beauty of intercultural exchanges. But right now with AFS, we actually have a curriculum wherein all of the global competencies, or we call them superpowers, are being addressed, so that students, when they go back, or teachers or educators, those participants in our organization, when they go back, they are equipped with such skills. Now, our AFS educational programs and initiatives offer a transformative learning journey through our educational programs. Like we give them the experience, like study abroad, and then we plus they learn the global skills, and then they practice it. They create social impact. Later on, I'll be sharing as well the impact goals of AFS. But most of our participants who go on program, whether in person or virtual, they are more aware that their leadership skills are needed by the communities they live in or the communities they influence with. So some of them are, actually not just some, most of them are involved in different advocacies to just strengthen and better the lives of their community people. Our approaches are, again, as I mentioned, transformative. It's goal-based. It's non-formal education, but it's a complement to the classroom education that we have. It's experiential. It's lifelong, and these principles guide in AFS, in our curriculum, are really progressive and developmentally designed manner to really our participants become interculturally competent. And it is like this initiative, actually, it's one of the platforms that AFS do in order for us to extend what we know. and to serve the community better, actually. So we really appreciate the kind of initiatives that NOLITC have done for the past many years. And one of that is actually this one. Miss Sally, if you can proceed to the next one, please. Now, as I mentioned, we are part of our impact goals is really educating global citizens to make a real difference. AFS encourage really everyone in our global community, whether you represent the volunteer sector, you are supporting a student who's going on an intercultural exchange, you are our partner school, to really embrace our learning to live together philosophy and foster intercultural learning and understanding to create positive change for a more just and peaceful world. And Bacolod is actually one of our Negros, one of our communities that have been part with AFS for so many years already. And there are other partner schools as well in Negros that have been part of our, they welcome foreign students from all over the world, and actually have increased the intercultural competence, not just of the students who undergo the exchange program, but as well the teachers and educators. They level up and global up their skills at the same time. To accomplish our educational goals, our programs really help future leaders and our global citizens and change makers develop the essential 21st century intercultural skills to thrive and succeed them in a globalized world. So I want to reiterate, the world is getting smaller, it's getting borderless in a matter of how many hours you are in another country already. And again, let's say the Philippines is very diverse, not just nationally, but again, a lot of foreigners are coming to the Philippines as well. So it's a must that we are able to interact with them efficiently. Our AFS intercultural learning programs actually are designed to really help our AFS participants and people of all ages. So we have our AFS Global Citizenship Agenda. If you can proceed to the next one. And one of the goals that Ms. Red have identified a while ago is for us to actually define what is global citizenship education. There might be other definition, different contexts, but this one is from the AFS own definition. So we have our global citizenship education is a transformative, lifelong pursuit that involves both formal learning and practical experience. So most of our students who go on an exchange program, they're also enrolled in different schools. So they learn not just in the four corners of their classroom, but they also learn in the community. Global citizenship education helps people of all ages respect cultural, gender, so hence I want to highlight respect for gender here, faith and other differences, become more aware of the world beyond our own. There's a lot more outside, not just in Negros, in Bacolod, or in the Philippines. There are a lot more opportunities out there. Understand our responsibilities as members of the global community. So every act that we do affects other people, not just in our community, but in the national context or in the international arena. Embrace our roles in protecting our planet for a sustainable future, and be mindful about how our local actions impact the greater world. So what we do, part of our strategies, when students go on a program, they also volunteer and do community services in different fronts. So it can be in the health sector, environment sector. So that way, when they go back to their home countries, they're able to share the learnings that they had during their exchange programs. If you can please, Ms. Sally, go to the next slide. So we actually have the AFS effect for global citizens. And as it reflected in my slide, the main challenge facing lifelong education involves our capabilities to learn to live together by developing an understanding of others and their histories, traditions, and spiritual values. It's just a matter of respecting differences and appreciating our similarities. So this one, there are certain ideas and perspectives that are odd and strange to our own belief and norms and traditions. But if we learn to respect those differences and suspend our judgment, we can foster a world that is more peaceful. And the next one, this is just to elaborate the AFS effect agenda of for global citizens. So the first one, what we do, and I hope that you'll be able to inculcate as well this kind of strategies in your policies and planning. May it be you're representing the educational sector or whichever career you are part of. AFS prepares and activates global citizens of all ages and backgrounds. So students and young people, adults, volunteers, our families, our schools, and others. We do this through our immersive international study abroad, volunteer, host family, and other opportunities, all of which are supported by facilitated intercultural education programs. AFS also encourage people to think critically, question assumptions, and be flexible. So our experiences build confidence, broaden perspectives, and develop practical skills required to communicate and collaborate with people from different cultures in your home communities and as well across the globe. Living and working and studying and volunteering abroad with AFS also helps young people learn how to solve problems and make decisions and work effectively in diverse teams and groups. And we also have some others. If you can proceed to the next slide, Miss Ellie. And as a result of our structured real life learning experiences, our AFSers, we call them AFSers, our participants, regardless if they went on a program with AFS in person exchange, or our volunteers or our partner schools, our AFSers appreciate, value, and respect cultural and other differences. So it's not just limited to culture, but also to gender, which will I transition later on my next topic, and believe our world is stronger and more interesting because of them. No wonder that again, we always mention that you know if you're part of the AFS community, there will always be an AFS in if you travel, there will always be an AFSer in that community or in that country. And the beauty of our network, at the same time, we connect you with other people that also helps strengthen your global citizenship education, because again, as I mentioned, we're not just providing somehow formal education limited within the four corners of the classroom, but extends beyond that in the community. Our 21st century global skills, our global abilities are highly valued by educators. So the ones that we are addressing, the 21st century global skills, the critical thinking skills, the communication skills, are highly valued by educators, by employers, by humanitarians, and communities. So those who are involved with our organizations, we are confident and we're comfortable that when they interact with people from different backgrounds and people that has different worldviews, they are able to explore different and exciting opportunities. So it's not limited to just being restricted to a certain idea, but they're able to think outside the box and explore initiatives that can provide a better community or a better world. Now, our education agenda, if you can go to the next one. Thank you, Miss Ellie. We actually focus on our 6 main areas to support the global citizenship education movement. The first one is AFS helps the world learn to live together. So I've mentioned this a while ago that we have this philosophy, learning to live together. We are committed actually to fostering intercultural exchanges, learning and understanding as a powerful and productive way to build a more just and peaceful world. AFSers embrace differences and believe our world is stronger because of them. So AFS stresses the importance of diversity and inclusiveness in our policies, in our programs, organizations, and public outreach of efforts. So I listened to the video of Miss Tina a while ago. So they mentioned about gender based approach. So there are also opportunities for women and all of that. But again, gender equality later on will also tackle that. Again, it's not just limited to men and women, but there's other beyond that. AFS is committed to expanding the role of young people in leadership and decision-making process of AFS and the society at large. Just like right now, I was sent by the organization to the US when I was 15 years old. And right now I'm handling the organization myself in the Philippines. And there are a lot of other participants as well who went on a program, may it be with AFS or other international intercultural exchange programs, are part of the decision-making skills in their societies. We share our findings and recommendations actually to help organizations and communities better leverage potential of their young volunteers and leaders. And the fourth one, AFS advocates, along with educators, we actually have partnership with the Department of Education, our policymakers, and others who actually have influence in not just in education but other fronts as well, to integrate intercultural learning and global citizenship education into national agendas and public school curriculums. So it's been a challenge also in some other countries to really integrate that with specific restrictions. The fifth one, AFS works closely and creatively with schools, universities, humanitarian and peace groups, governments and other NGOs on the issues that reflect our mission and support global citizenship education. That's why when we received an invitation from NOLITC on such topic, we immediately responded, because again, it resonates to the kind of advocacy and the kind of works we do in the organization. The sixth one, AFS proactively supports the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and believes they provide a roadmap to help make our world a better place for all people. We actually have initiated different webinars as well that tackles not just a very specific SDG, but the entire SDG with the help of our interns. But with AFS, we want to really pay particular attention to help fulfill goal number 4 of the SDG and outcome 4.7. So goal number 4 focuses on the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development and sustainable lifestyles, human rights, gender equality, promotion of a culture of peace and nonviolence, global citizenship, and appreciation of cultural diversity and of culture's contribution to sustainable development. So by 2030, ensure that all learners acquire the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development. The next slide just really highlights our attention and our focus to helping UN achieve this one. Now, as we transition, part of my talk is actually to inculcate our experiences and what we know as well, working with different sectors about respect for gender. So the mission of AFS is rooted in cultural diversity. But in our efforts to act and respond appropriately when interacting with people from other cultures, it is necessary that we understand the existence of cultural, not just cultural diversity, but as well gender diversity, among others. We strongly advocate the respect of gender differences, as you would respect cultural differences. But this one, respect for sexual orientation, gender identity, and sex characteristics, equality and freedom from discrimination are fundamental human rights that belong to everyone, and that should not be taken away from you, regardless of your sexual orientation, gender identity, or sex characteristics. However, up to this day, lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, and intersex, or what most commonly know, the LGBT community people in this one is very specific to the Asia Pacific region, can experience shocking levels of violence, harassment, and discrimination. And I know you can attest to that, because you, one way or the other, you probably have experienced this one, or you probably have heard some news of such harassment. So this includes extrajudicial killing, torture, rape, arbitrary detention, unfair trials in some cases, and in the cases of women, forced pregnancy and forced marriage. They face exclusion and discrimination in relation to work, education, and accessing health and housing services. People who are gender diverse can also face barriers getting legal recognition of their sex in official documents and government records. This is from the content of the National Human Rights Institutions in the Asia Pacific region. and they are really strong advocates for the rights of all people, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, or sex characteristics. Now, and the next slide is a video for a few minutes for us to better understand of such, and this is in reference to NHRI. Miss Ellie, if you can play the video.
In Bangladesh, the person with sexual orientation, gender identity, and sex characteristics are really facing grave human rights violation.
And there is police violence, there is family violence, there is violence in the schools, in many other places.
I think the issue with regards to trans murder and violence, I think that's one of the pressing issues as well.
In our country, especially for the LGBTI topics, it's still a taboo, and the people are treating like untouchable, and still they are facing many sexual and gender-based violence.
Our country used to be a British colony, so we have the Penal Code Section 377, which prohibits same-sex conduct. This is a huge barrier, this one. And then the other thing is also the practices of the law enforcement.
In terms of arrest for trans people, for example, they will arrest trans people because of the so-called cross-dressing.
LGBTI people are amongst the most vulnerable and marginalised groups of people in the Asia-Pacific region. Since 2009, the Asia-Pacific Forum has been supporting and encouraging national human rights institutions to tackle the prejudice, the discrimination, and the violence that these people face in their everyday lives. The UNDP has been a critical partner in that work.
Is there anyone else here who's nervous about being pulled aside or searched because of their ID?
So definitely I learned more things from here, because as in my life also this is a new issue for me.
But when I participated here, I came to know very bad story of this community, which really shocked me.
Partnerships are vital to bring about change, and that's why our training program brings together representatives from national human rights institutions and civil society organisations to work together to give greater impact for the human rights of LGBTI people.
The NHRI needs to engage with the community. And then from our community side also, we need to engage with them so that we can work together.
It's up to the NHRIs and the NGOs to work together to start advocacy program.
So what we think that we need to hold regular meeting.
We wanted to create a space where people could come together to listen, to talk to each other, to think up practical measures in which they can affect change.
How to approach public entities and how to approach also the CSO in order to work together.
And after coming to the course, I realized that it's so important, and also found a way to work with NHRIs in India. This kind of forum is very good because it increases the knowledge for people from the community.
And what your oldest term is, and how old it is.
We've come a long way in putting LGBTI rights on the agenda for national human rights institutions, but a lot more needs to be done. And that's why it's so important to deepen and strengthen the existing partnerships and build new ones so that we can give greater effect to the human rights of LGBTI people and make a difference.
Despite of this religious barrier and also the legal barrier, we envision a society where the love is not be targeted, it should be celebrated.
We just want it to be treated fairly, equally, without discrimination.
We are part of the society, we are part of the country. So accept us.
Yeah, Miss Ellie, thank you for that. Could you please proceed to the next slide? Now, again, we have learned about the challenges and the barriers that people are facing when it's relevant to their gender or to their sexual orientation or how they identify themselves. But in one way or the other, we will be able to help contribute to the lessening of gender inequality. And um, that kind of video is actually one of our foundation reference on how we implement programs and policies in the organization. So if I may share, I mean, we in the organization, we have what we call traditional placements. Traditional placements actually defines a family who's willing to welcome a foreign exchange student in their house. So it's a traditional concept of having mom and dad, man and woman, and then the kids. But in 2017, AFS adopted a forward-looking plan. In the plan, AFS committed to a set of common principles. And one of the principles is that this one reflected in the screen. Just and peaceful societies are diverse and inclusive. And Ms. Red a while ago have mentioned that some of the parents are actually asking the school if the school is inclusive of whatsoever concept can be related to gender or ethnicity or minority. But with AFS, a diverse and inclusive society requires us to provide intercultural learning opportunities to all, regardless of your cultural backgrounds, ethnicity, minority, where educational attainment, or wherever you come from. We strive to exemplify diversity and inclusiveness in everything we do. We make a conscious effort to broaden our reach and provide intercultural learning opportunities to all strata of our society. Our participants, volunteers, host families, and staff should reflect the makeup of the communities where we live and work. So now going back to my sharing of having traditional placements, right now in the AFS network, we also have same-sex families. So in the notion we're in, mom and dad hosting exchange students, and there's no difference in actually having that experience. Actually, each experience is very unique, and students understand better how the kind of, I mean, there's no really exact definition of a family, and students appreciate more that family can be like two dads and family can be two moms. Okay, and somehow it's really a challenge, especially to break that barrier and to break that traditional thinking and perspective, especially if you're coming from very traditional reserved communities, communities that probably do not have this kind of initiatives, or societies where this kind of perspective is being restricted, especially by those who are in the authorities. But it's one of the strategies that AFS actually implements, and was well received by our communities, by our participants, by our volunteers, by our partner schools. So there's another video, Miss Sally, if you can please play that. Thank you.
The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development promises to make human rights real for everyone, everywhere. It has 17 goals, and gender equality cuts across all of them. At a time when we're facing conflict, extremism, and environmental degradation, the SDGs focus on sustainability, equality, peace, and progress. The SDGs challenge deepening inequalities around the world by committing to leave no one behind.
The 2030 Agenda is very clear. There can be no sustainable development without gender equality.
In reality, however, gender inequalities are pervasive in every dimension of sustainable development.
Globally, women and girls are overrepresented among the extreme poor. 330 million women and girls live on less than $1.90 a day. That's 4.4 million more than men.
In nearly 2/3 of countries, women are more likely than men to report food insecurity.
Despite recent progress, access to quality education is still not universal. Globally, 15 million girls will never get a chance to read or write, compared to 10 million boys.
Climate change has a disproportionate impact on women and children. They are 14 times as likely as men to die during a disaster.
The majority of urban women are living in conditions where they lack access to clean water, improved sanitation facilities, durable housing, or sufficient living space.
In many areas, the current rate of progress is too slow to achieve the SDGs by 2030. To turn promises into action, we need to step it up now.
We need public action to tackle inequalities and discrimination.
We need to invest in policies and programs that work for women and girls.
We need more and better data to assess whether what we are doing for women and girls actually works.
And we need greater accountability at all levels for commitments made but not met.
Let's turn these promises into action.
And gender equality into a lived reality for all women and girls.
It's up to all of us
to ensure the journey is successful.
Thank you, Ms. Sally. If you can proceed to the next slide. In the video, we really want to highlight SDG 5, achieve gender equality, empower all women and girls. They have mentioned the facts, but again, if I can resonate that with my experience working in the emergency department, in one of the hospitals in the Philippines, because I'm a registered nurse by profession and had my duties in the hospital. Well, there are a lot of cases being reported, still being reported on violence against women and children. And I've seen some of the webinars from previous have talked about VAWC. It's still a challenge, and there's still existing cases, but trust me, there are a lot of untold stories as well. But the good thing about it is that there are reports coming out, so we know that again, we are able to save those who are, whose stories are being out in the open, are probably, being part of the reports. But personally, me, I would like not to just restrict it against women, but against men as well, because again, or other gender identity, because they also have, probably experienced some violence against them. But in a very patriarchal community, if you report such abuse, you are perceived as weak. And I hope that again, those men out there, or people who identify themselves other than men and women, are able to report such abuse and violence, so that we'll be able to create more programs and policies. It's a balancing act between all of us, the government creating policies and the NGOs contributing one way or the other in helping achieve this. But the question really, gender equality, why do we need it? Why is it really important? So we need gender equality very urgently, actually. But in order for us to really understand equality and the notions about it in gender, we need to understand as well some of the definition of terms. Reference from the Presidential Communications Operation Office. Ms. Red, kindly give me a heads up if I'm running out of time. I tend to talk too much actually in webinar, but first is gender equity is reflected here, refers to the principle asserting the equality of men and women and their right to enjoy equal conditions, realizing their full human potentials to contribute to and benefit from the results of development. Gender equity refers to fairness and justice in the distribution of benefits and responsibilities between women and men. We have the traditional thinking that again, just female or moms should just stay in the house, and the fathers work for the entire family. When I went on an exchange program, it opened my eyes that again, bus drivers can be females as well. So in South Carolina, I take the bus at the same time. It's the school bus, and it's a surprise to me that again the school bus driver is a female. Okay, but here, and like Saudi Arabia just championed their fight or battle against giving women a license to drive, so something like that. But if you can go to the next slide as well, some other terms that we need to understand. It might not sink right now, but we hope that in the future you'll be able to go back and refer to such concepts. Gender sensitivity refers to the ability to understand and consider the socio-cultural factors underlying gender-based discrimination, socialization of men and women into certain behaviors or opportunities, power relations between men and women, as well as the different needs, problems, and levels of access to resources that they have. We also have gender development, and I hope that those who are listening right now, may you be a student or teacher or educator or policymaker in the government or NGO, be able to reflect on the gender development, the GAD approach in developing your programs and policies. And the last one we have, Miss Sally. Gender discrimination refers to any distinction, exclusion, or restriction made on the basis of socially constructed gender roles and norms that prevent a person, female or male, from enjoying full human rights. Women empowerment refers to the provision, availability, and accessibility of opportunities, services, and observance of human rights, which enable women to actively participate and contribute to the strata in the society. Now, in gender equality, if you can proceed to the next one, Miss Sally. We need gender equality, as I mentioned, urgently. Gender equality prevents violence against women and girls. For example, it's essential for economic prosperity. Societies that value women and men as equal are safer and healthier. Gender equality is a human right, as I have established a while ago. Everyone benefits from gender equality. Now, on the other hand, we have gender inequality. It affects everyone. Gender roles and stereotypes impact all of us throughout our lives. Not everyone may experience inequality the same way, but the situation is worse actually, and often different for people who face more than one type of discrimination, or those who are, lacking of certain infrastructures or opportunities, or deprived of certain privilege in congruence to the society they live in, or the kind their status in life. For example, just to elaborate this one with men, so we have the traditional stereotypes for men. These are really difficult to live up to. They feel pressured to be a real man, quote unquote, to be physically and emotionally strong and be the main income earner, and interjecting health concepts. That's why there's a lot of the rate for suicide amongst men is really higher, because again, they actually feel helpless inside already, but they're ashamed to ask for help, because again, in a society where they live, where they are perceived to be physically and emotionally strong. So yeah, men are more likely to commit suicide. They are less likely to seek professional help or talk about their problems with friends or family. Men are more likely to drink too much, take unhealthy risks, and engage in violence. And many workplaces don't offer men extended parental leave or flexible hours. And it's good to know we now have the paternity leave on top of the maternity leave. Some as well in rural and regional women living outside of the metropolitan areas often do not have access to public services. They are at greater risk of poor health outcomes and family violence. Our trans and gender diverse people may feel forced to hide their gender identity when using services at school or at work, because again, it remains to be a taboo in most communities if you are gay. And you can actually, reflect on this one, because you will, it's a major talk about conversation amongst friends and classmates and full of people when you have doubt of someone's gender identity. If that John is gay, or Lillian is a lesbian, or he's a bisexual, he has something like that. But we need to understand this later on as we talk on about Soji towards the end of my presentation. But there are also other impact with women with disabilities. For example, women with disabilities are more likely to experience family violence and sexual assault. They are more likely to be unemployed or underemployed. They're also paid less than men with disabilities and women without disabilities. Children, for example, they have gender stereotypes affect children's sense of self from a young age. Boys receive 8 times more attention in the classroom than girls. Children classify jobs and activities as specific to boys or girls. And you can proceed, Ms. Sally. The benefits of gender equality is elaborated here. Gender equality prevents violence against women and girls. It's good for the economy. Equality is a human right. Equality makes our community safer and healthier, as I've established a while ago. But this one, I wanted to focus your attention to the flower that I have here on the right portion of your screen. This is our identity flower, and we use this activity in most of our programs and orientations, wherein students are given the the chance to really identify themselves as they, you know, as they relate to the community, to the family they are part of. So we have gender identity, sexuality, religion, belief, social class, and in some cases, many cases actually, based on the sharing of some of our participants, they find it very hard actually. They find it hard to identify their gender, to identify their sexuality, or relationship status, because they come from a culture wherein it really is a taboo, and you're not encouraged to verbalize, whatever you identify yourself with. And the next one is, again, I came across this one when I was working with Chevron Holdings Incorporated, and I've been part of the diversity and inclusion team. And it's SOGI. SOGI is it's also a complex concept, and it will really require you more than an hour or different sessions to fully understand it. But I want you to again, this might be a new concept that you are hearing, but this might be limited in our presentation. But I want you to also research more about this one. But SOGI is an abbreviation combining sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. It has become one of the main reference terms to actually describe the LGBT community. It is now being introduced in many legal doctrines, in UN documents, and it's becoming popular in social media. But why do we need to know SOGI, for example, in youth? Similar to other parts of our identity, like our race and ethnicity, SOGI actually matters. So SOGI is an important piece of our identity that can determine and shape our needs and experiences. As established here, its usefulness lies in its inclusiveness. The term LGBT is specific to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, but SOGI refers to characteristics common to all human beings because everyone has a sexual orientation and a gender identity. So everyone also expresses their gender, not just lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. More with SOGI, aside from being new, the challenge in explaining SOGI is that it is very complex term, and one that deals with subjects considered taboo in many cultures. Let's say, for example, where I come from. My community from some parts of Zamboanga can still be reserved and not aware of such. But learning about SOGI is crucial to understand the situation of LGBTs. Some of the helpful pointers we have is, again, these two points. Human sexuality is diverse. Our rigid beliefs on sex and gender just put people in boxes, or sometimes what we associate closets. That's why it's closeted gay, closeted, identification. But these beliefs do not reflect realities on human sexuality, especially how gender roles in expression, sexual attraction, and sexual behavior influence how a person views or lives his or her own sexuality. These notions favor male-female distinctions and are biased against those who do not fit existing stereotypes on sex and gender. The second one is sex is simply the marker recorded in our birth certificate. So it is the biological difference that distinguishes people as manifested by a combination of anatomical, so our internal reproductive organs and our genitals, genetic and hormonal distinctions, as well as other sexual characteristics. If you can go, yes, okay. The good thing about this one is that the Philippines remains the top country in Asia in terms of closing the gender gap, according to the Global Gender Gap Report 2020 of the World Economic Forum. So it's a promising report and something to be celebrated as well. Next one, please, Miss Ellie. We have gender equality in the midst of a pandemic. So if we can reflect that, again, before the pandemic, gender equality is a substantial issue already. More on leaning towards the negativity, but it's more pronounced now, especially in the presence of the pandemic. So just points to consider as well, especially with employers, with teachers and educators in the academe, to also reflect on this. So more women than men have lost their jobs due to COVID-19. More time at home places women at higher risk of domestic and family violence. Flexible work arrangements are not a barrier to effective leadership. Men are less likely to request flexible work arrangements and more likely to have such requests refused. Sexual harassment does not only occur in the office, it can also happen online. So COVID-19 actually has dramatically changed our lives in our workplace. So we hope that again, workplaces or academic institutions can take active steps to promote gender equality and prevent violence against women as part of their recovery plans. And moreover, this one's just in reflecting on the students and academics, but there might be gender differences that you can notice in the digital learning during COVID-19. Have competence beliefs or the related values, learning engagement, perceived teacher support. So but I want to highlight on this one, gender stereotypes associating technical and math-intensive fields with masculine qualities in certain subjects. There's a stereotype already that, again, males are better in math than females, or they're better in, the use of computers and technology, perceived as masculine, therefore more suitable for boys than girls. So if you can reflect on this one, well, it's a case-to-case basis as well, but the tendency is that females are more, with the advantage of and available facilities for them. They probably do not have much experience working on computers or technology, because in certain cultures it might be tagged as just computers and technology are just for men. So with the onset of COVID, so they might be having a hard time on adapting on such. So it's just something to ponder upon. And of course, whether we are coming from schools or NGOs or the government, we need to have a gender responsive approach when it comes to education in the context of COVID. This is in reference to UNICEF, getting all girls and boys back into education, investing in gender responsive teachers. So teachers and educators really play important roles in molding the behaviors and perspective of our students. So coordination, it's an interrelated approach, not just the government, but NGOs or other sectors, or all of us take a huge and vital part to achieve such gender responsive education. Equipping adults to champion child and youth participation, communication, positive gender norms in education and employment, and of course the overarching principle, prioritize vulnerable, marginalized, and excluded girls and boys. Well, these are extensive topics that I'm trying to just merge or give you ideas in a nutshell, but I hope that again, you'll be able to search more about this one. Now, for the AFS context, these are some of the activities we, as network or our other partner countries have done. So challenge gender norms, empower each other, celebrate diversity. This was during the International Women's Day, time to challenge and really gender norms, time to break stereotypes, time to celebrate diversity, time to reject the binary, time to join together, and time to take action. I am Generation Equality. The next one is a reflection from one of our students who went on program. Gender inequality is not okay. The next one is a program that is somehow focused really on human rights. So we have short programs in the network that explore human rights issues such as racism and gender equality, unemployment, and as well LGBTQ plus rights and more. So you see how responsive AFS as a network when it comes to issues on gender equality. Next one is again just a program as well, or a training program that also highlights identity, gender, privilege, and inequalities. This one is in Germany. The next one is shared by AFS in Ghana, wherein they've been part to celebrate women and girls and science with UNESCO. And then we also have a partner in Guatemala who initiated, spearheaded training for teachers on sexual and gender diversity in the classroom. And this one actually we can share that we have partnered with NOLITC on doing such webinar. So we also have like this one just towards the end of my presentation. If you can see that again, there's no specific gender actually on the application of AFS, but we just want to highlight that these are some of the Disney characters or those that we probably know from movies who can probably be AFSers because of their responsibility, global responsibility, or desire of working together, respect the traditions of, example, the Black Panther and how he exhibited the, if you engage in a global community, it's better for everyone. Arya would like and Moana would like to explore out there because in some cultures you are, if you're a girl, you just remain here. There's no room for you to actually explore opportunities outside. And then the next one, Mr. Spock and Lisa Simpson. So as the first officer and also the science officer of the Starship Enterprise, Spock's role is to observe and understand every new culture they find, which is really relatable to AFS. Lisa Simpson, Lisa's definition of an academic overachiever when unable to attend school due to a teacher's strike. She suffered a sort of school withdrawal, but that's not her only personality trait. She's a passionate change maker, worried about sustainability, global inequality, and social justice. And that's actually the end of my presentation. And someone is calling me. I think that's the FedEx in front of my doorstep. So please allow me, Miss Red, to just take this call, and Miss Ellie.
Thank you very much, Sir Froshkan, for that very extensive. No, you were as much as you can. You were able to share with us the knowledge about global citizenship education and about acquiring skills on how to be more cautious with our relationships, no, with other people, and the way we respect different sexual orientation or SOGIs, right? So we were given, the amount of time. This is only just 2 hours, but Sir Froshkan did his best to impart, no, as much as he can, the competencies on the global competencies and the global consciousness. At this point in time, allow me to greet our participants or our virtual audience who is watching us this afternoon. Hello there, Miss Jacqueline Vicente, watching from Arams West Schools Division Office of Cabancalan City. Thank you so much. We have Maria Vicenta Orbanozo, watching from Biniquil Elementary School. That's right. And we also have Mom Larlene King Kerit from the Schools Division Office of Cabancalan City. Ma'am Sarlene Grace po, thank you for watching us from Dr. Pablo Torres Elementary School, Schools Division Office of Cabancalan City. Wow, we have a lot of participants from Cabancalan. And another one here, Ma'am Mary Jane. Thank you. We have Miss Maureen. Yes, Miss Maureen Ginanaw, all right, from San Jose Elementary School, Cabancalan City. We have a lot of educators. That's good thing because these days global citizenship education is also integrated to our educational system. We have Sir Gerald Bustamante from Arams West, also from Cabancalan, and another one from Mandaluyong City, Amicus Curie. Thank you for joining us. And from North Negros College, Cadiz City, Harley Valladolid, Lampawag. Thank you for being here with us. And yes, this is from Pontevedra National High School. Hello there to the faculty, staff, and students of Pontevedra National High School, and Sir Prasad BR joining us all the way from India, I believe. We have Henrilito Tingson watching from San Jose Elementary School. And Sir Froshkan is now ready for our open forum segment. Can we bring back Sir Froshkan to our virtual stage? All right. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm actually
Mhm.
very fulfilled after my presentation to be able to share to our virtual audience.
Mhm.
Might not be able to share everything that they need to know, but at least I was
Mhm.
able to impart what the organization offers and what we do in
Mhm.
order to contribute to such achievement of a
That's
certain
true.
goal.
That's true, and it's actually very it's an opener to most of us without that much exposure to global citizenship, or it's a kind of a reinforcement to what we have already learned. So we are now in our open forum segment. I hope that you are ready. All right. And here is our first question. Okay, this is coming from an educator, perhaps. So, as teachers, how can we promote global citizenship to our students?
Hi, ma'am. Actually, I have seen some of the questions addressed in
Mm-hmm.
the chat box, and I appreciate the teachers and educators are firsthand very interested because,
That's
again,
true.
you are the bridge of certain opportunities. If my teacher wasn't able to provide me an opportunity to travel abroad,
Mm-hmm.
probably I will not be who I am right now or
Mm-hmm.
whatever I have achieved. But again, we need to also understand that there are restricting factors. Let's say, for example, one of the questions is how can you achieve global citizenship education without really traveling abroad? Because
Mm-hmm.
there are there are certain factors like finances. I mean, there are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of organizations and programs that offer scholarships. Others
Mm-hmm.
do not as well. But if the
Mm-hmm.
student has a capacity to invest in their education abroad, then that's better. It really gives you a different view. But we have other virtual programs as well that they can search
Mm-hmm.
actually. But as teachers, you need to educate yourself first and understand that again, global citizenship is needed, and that learning should not just be within the four corners of your classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually look into. We have a curriculum that we can share, and this has been
Oh.
presented in with the Department of Education,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an ongoing
Yeah.
conversations. But again, um, you'll be able to help students look for
Mm-hmm.
opportunities if there
Mm-hmm.
are scholarships abroad or programs
Mm-hmm.
that will enhance the global citizenship education.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's limiting, then you can probably create activities that
Mm-hmm.
will foster their critical thinking skills or their
That's true.
interest towards other cultures or even within your community, because
Mm-hmm.
students represents diversity. Like in my school in high school, I am from I am a Roman Catholic plus Muslim. I have classmates who are Muslims 100%. I have classmates
Mm-hmm.
who are from Suban, and I
Mm-hmm.
community, I have classmates who are transfers. So you can actually, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
engage activities for them to understand each
Yeah.
other.
Mm-hmm.
Probably do activities with other countries virtually to engage students' interest in speaking English or probably or
Mm-hmm.
speaking Japanese or speaking Chinese to somehow like understand their culture,
Mm-hmm.
the kind of educations they have. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one way. There are a lot of other ways actually. Like NOLITC, they're welcoming foreign students with
True.
AFS. So
Mm-hmm.
somehow that actually promotes global citizenship, like students
Mm-hmm.
engaging with someone from Italy or someone from Spain. So it
Mm-hmm.
gives them a different experience actually.
That's true. And yeah, you can check out the school curriculums if they have the global citizenship education as part of their curriculum as well.
Yeah,
And you're
and
right to say, yeah.
sometimes
Mhm.
misread. These are embedded in different subjects.
Subjects,
Then
that's true.
just
Right, and you are right to say that NOLITC is has the global citizenship as part of our electives here, right? So, thank you for that answer. Let us move on to our second question here. What is the ideal age to introduce global citizenship education?
Well, for
Yeah.
me, basing on my experience, as young as
Mm-hmm.
they are, I mean, like I
That's
went
true.
on a program 14 years when I was
Yeah.
14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That time I was very, my thinking is very just secluded in the community I
Mm-hmm.
live within. So it's just like
Mm-hmm.
G1% friends of Buanga City, and not interested even learning
Mm-hmm.
more about Manila or when I applied for the program, I didn't even
Yeah.
know where the US is, but I
Mm-hmm.
was interested to just really pursue activities because I was
Mm-hmm.
one of the top students in my school.
Right.
And I was very interested in the extracurricular activities and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. But somehow it's a journey actually. So you do
Mm-hmm.
not just get global citizenship in just one day, but it's a journey
Mm-hmm.
of multiple programs and initiatives and activities. But
Mm-hmm.
as early as, let's say, for example, young toddler,
Right.
some of the families who hosted foreign
Mm-hmm.
exchange students in their families have
Mm-hmm.
verbalized that their kids now are more, interested about what's out
Mm-hmm.
there in the world, and
Exactly.
they picked up a foreign language somehow. They
Mm-hmm.
understand how things, work in Germany, or
Mm-hmm.
understanding might be limited, but it's, you when you start them at younger, they
Mm-hmm.
somehow, get that competencies earlier than
Mm-hmm.
you start them at a later part. But I
Right.
must say that again, there's really no a
Mm-hmm.
certain age wherein
Mm-hmm.
you are being introduced of the concept of global
Mm-hmm.
citizenship education, because
Yes.
regardless if you are a teacher or educator
Mm-hmm.
now, we are all unfinished product, and this is one of the
Yes.
concepts that we have in
Mm-hmm.
AFS. I mean, every day
Mm-hmm.
is a learning experience. So
Mm-hmm.
whether
That's true.
it's you consider yourself as too late already to be introduced of such
Mm-hmm.
programs, we have teachers and educators who went on
Mm-hmm.
a program with us, and they are professors in math or whatsoever. But upon doing a program with us, whether virtual or in
Mm-hmm.
person, they learn so much actually, and and
Mm-hmm.
the feedback is just amazing. That regardless of age, you
Mm-hmm.
can learn. You can learn about
Yes.
global citizenship education.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And I would like to say as well that it's a misconception to say that learning stops at a certain age. No, it is a continuous process. And even when we are already matured, we still continue to have re education, reinforcing our prior education, and so on and so forth. So, thank you for that one. Sir Fashkan, let us move on to our third question: how to be part of your organization, AFS?
Yeah, we'll be very happy to welcome you. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as I've mentioned, the organization, we are inclusive and we are diverse. So whatever background
Yes.
you have, you may be a teacher, student, or
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever,
Mm-hmm.
you are welcome to the organization. You can just
Mm-hmm.
fill up an application form, whether if you want to go abroad with
Yes.
AFS or volunteer with AFS, become a partner school. Opportunities for intercultural learning and
Mm-hmm.
volunteerism, global citizenship education is
Mm-hmm.
right here, and it's AFS that offers one of the organizations. I will not discredit the like-minded organizations that we have that
Mm-hmm.
works on the same advocacy, but
Mm-hmm.
with AFS there are a lot of opportunities, and we actually
True.
have a lot of partner schools in Bacolod, in Negros,
Mm-hmm.
and in some other
Yeah.
parts of the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other programs. There are other programs that say becoming a partner school, volunteer for AFS, become a host family with
Mm-hmm.
AFS, or you yourself will go abroad with AFS,
Right.
whether in a partial, full scholarship, or a paying capacity.
Mm-hmm.
You can also do our virtual program. So you just have to search
Yeah.
AFS, Intercultural Programs Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
and look for the best program for you. But the
Right.
desire of like equipping yourself with the 21st century skills, I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of
That's
other
right.
organizations as well. But we'll be very happy to welcome you. I mean, Miss Ren,
Mm-hmm.
Miss Sally, and Miss Tina, and Sir Larry has been with us for many years already. So
That's true. Right. And yes, they can always check out AFS Philippines website for more
yes.
information. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And question number 4: how to express our soji while at the same time being respectful to cultural norms.
I must say that again, you have to understand what really soji means and who you are, because you will be
Mm-hmm.
the one who can project your whatever plans you want to have in the future and how you
Mm-hmm.
act on such plans. But first is understanding and getting the awareness or
Mm-hmm.
information, because again, whether you will not respect your gender identity, or you will not
Mm-hmm.
uh, I mean, it's a process. I mean, you cannot just
Mm-hmm.
I will come out in the open
Mm-hmm.
in a matter of second or in a matter of a day. Sometimes it takes, per
Yes.
person, it takes like probably for how many years already you're
Aces.
not you're not comfortable coming out, and you cannot
Mm-hmm.
just force someone. You cannot force someone. You have to tell us that you're gay, or you have to tell us that you're bisexual. You have to tell us you're lesbian. You cannot force someone in an instant to just verbalize it, because it's a process.
Mm-hmm.
But there are cultural norms. I mean, it's a matter of really questioning the norms.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of questioning the status quo, because sometimes probably what you believed in for so
Mm-hmm.
many years already is probably not the exact.
Mm-hmm.
Like the it restricts.
Mm-hmm.
Like in myself, they will always say, "Oh, you're a Muslim," and then how come you're,
The same
I
thing.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have a different perspective. But what's
Mhm.
important is that you are, you understand who you are, and that you are,
Mhm.
because sometimes it's within your heart. If you're comfortable and
Mhm.
you are, there's no heavy feeling in your heart that you
Mhm.
know who you are and you're comfortable of who you are.
Mhm.
If you're closeted, you
Yeah.
do not want to disclose it to others. As long as
Mhm.
you have in your heart that it's okay, then at least it's
Mhm.
you. But if you wanna, do not be pressured on the what's this, on what society
Expectation.
this
Mhm.
yeah, what
Mhm.
society dictates, because
True.
sometimes it's
Mhm.
different. But we also have a saying in AFS that it's not
Mhm.
wrong, it's not right, it's just different. So
Right.
as long as you're able to respect the differences,
Mhm.
as long as you're able to appreciate
Mhm.
similarities and differences, and
Mhm.
then you suspend your judgment, then I think you'll
Mhm.
be able to express soji at the same time respect
Mhm.
cultural norms, because
Mhm.
again, it's an ongoing battle. Like, this is an ongoing battle that
Mhm.
there are a lot of civic groups, there are a lot of organizations that trying to let people understand that it's like this and like that, but there are
Mhm.
people that are still equipped with such cultural
Oh
traditional
yeah.
norms, and
Mhm.
it's really an ongoing battle. But what's important
That's
is
right.
that you will be able to share your what you know and what you believe in,
Mhm. Mhm.
and you yourself, you're comfortable that, again, this is what I believe and this is what makes me
Mhm.
comfortable, and this is something that I do not hurt other physically or whatsoever, but
Mhm.
I know others will not believe on what I do
Mhm.
and what I say. I respect that. So it's just really a
Mhm.
matter of respect. Yeah.
Correct. And hence, it is important and vital that we should learn global citizenship education because it's all about respecting differences. So nobody is, yeah, everybody's not the same, right? And if our community, if our leaders, our government, and a lot more of our system has this consciousness of being tolerating to individual differences, and I guess it wouldn't be so hard for people to express their soji and to express their religious beliefs and so on, right? So thank you. And question number 5, I am interested to have an international volunteering experience, so where do I start?
Yeah, we usually work with partner schools or
Mhm.
volunteers or community project organizations. But if you do not know whom to approach, you can actually send us an email directly.
Mhm.
Um, there are other partner countries that do not offer volunteer programs, but there are others as well that offer. So what we do really is that we can customize programs depending
Mhm.
on, let's say, for example, if you want to go to Colombia and they do not have any volunteer opportunities for you
Mhm.
on the education sector, or you
Mhm.
want to do something related to health,
Mhm.
and we can actually lobby with them that we have an interested participant. But
Mhm.
if it's limiting, then we can probably look at other countries. The beauty about
Mhm.
AFS is that it's the network is so extensive. We
Yeah.
have more than, as I mentioned, 60 plus partner countries, and we are
Mhm.
working as well with other like-minded organizations. So
Yeah.
the only part of the factor that will limit your experience is really, again, the cost. But if you are able to
Mm.
proceed with such program, investing in your own opportunity
Mhm.
abroad, then you can
Mhm.
actually, because our programs covers full scholarships, sometimes partial scholarships, and sometimes a paying capacity, in a sense
Mhm.
wherein if it's a full scholarship, scholarships are targeted. So if you do not meet
Mhm.
the qualification or the criteria, then you cannot apply for the program. So we actually look for options for you. So that's the beauty about it. Applying with AFS, you can send us an email. It's fee.voldev@afs.org.
Yeah.
But I have contacts with NOLITC. So if you
Mhm.
just email
Yes.
Miss Red or message Miss Red,
Mhm.
or Miss Tina or Miss Ellie or Sir
Mhm.
Larry. I do not know
Yes.
Sir Larry. He's probably listening to our session. But yeah,
Mhm.
you can
True.
just go to NOLITC, then they can probably
Mhm.
refer you to us.
Right. They can drop their message in the, yeah, NOLIC Facebook page. And I also would like to add on that as well, Sir Froshkan. So if they wanted to do international volunteering, I think it is best first to volunteer here in our country. So what's how can you be ready to do the international volunteering if you have not been exposed to the volunteering experience in your own motherland? So if you know some organizations and organizations in your community, I think it is best to sign up for volunteering as a volunteer to those organizations, civic organizations. And for the information of everyone, we also have a national authority that governs our volunteering initiatives or activity. That's the Philippine National Volunteer Service Coordinating Agency. They can also get in touch with that one if they want to know more about how to volunteer here in the Philippines, and maybe later on they can also volunteer internationally.
Yes. Actually, it's amazing that a lot of foreigners choose the
Mhm.
Philippines to
Mhm.
have their program experience here. Not just high school students or university
Mhm.
students, but also volunteers. Because again, there are a lot of volunteering
Mhm.
opportunities here in the
That's
Philippines.
true.
But
Mhm.
also the beauty, if you have the desire to really, again, given that again you have experiences already, or regardless do not
Mhm.
have, but you have the desire to go abroad and get
Mhm.
that international experience. Because again, if
Yeah.
you do the experience abroad and then you come back here, you share a
Mhm.
different perspective, in a sense that
Mhm.
you'll be able to the community will be able to benefit as well
That's
from you, that given that international experience, or helping the
Mhm.
community at your local context. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a two-way process at the same time. Yeah,
Right.
but I agree that again there are a lot of many other organizations here that can
Mhm.
provide volunteering opportunities.
Yes, and AFS as well. AFS Philippines is a local volunteering opportunity. Am I right?
Yes,
Mhm.
we have different communities and partner schools.
Mhm.
Our programs are just a little bit hibernated as of now between some other
Mhm.
partners, schools and community volunteers,
Yeah.
because of the pandemic. But
Mhm.
in the network, of course, we have resumed our operations and our programs. We
Mhm.
actually have one student right now from Russia who braved her
Wow.
way, and everything's being managed well. We have our
Mhm.
risk and crisis management team.
Mhm.
As I mentioned, participant safety is our priority,
Mhm.
and she's enjoying her stay in the Philippines. We work
Wow.
with the Department of Education. Our Department of Foreign Affairs granted our travel ban exception requirement
Mhm.
and application, so she's here right now. And we are
Yes.
welcoming other slowly and gradually and surely welcoming other foreign participants arriving
Mhm.
here. But given the history of AFS in the Philippines, we have
Mhm.
been receiving students since 2000 in
Mhm.
different capacity in high school program, university program, volunteer program.
Mhm. Yes, that's right. And thank you for those additional information. Yeah, let's continue with question number 6. You mentioned earlier that we don't need to travel internationally to acquire global citizenship education. So what are your tips to develop this?
Yeah, well, I think I also have mentioned that again, there
Mhm.
are other virtual programs that we
Right.
offer. I'm sure that the school has a curriculum on global citizenship education, so you can check on the school curriculum.
Mhm.
But right now, because the world is getting smaller, you can probably go
Mhm.
get global citizenship education through your interaction with foreigners here in the
Yes.
Philippines. But going abroad gives you a different perspective. It gives
Mhm.
you a different experience. So if you just have that desire to really
Mhm.
look out for opportunities abroad
Mhm.
or within our national context, you can actually engage yourself in global citizenship education. We also do not just global citizenship education, but
Mhm.
other correlated benefits. Let's say intercultural learning and your passion of
Mhm. Yes.
volunteering.
Mhm.
But I'm sure, but I know that again, a lot of schools right now
Mhm.
and private institutions, organizations who would like to be at par with the rest of
Mhm.
the world when it
Mhm.
comes to education. So
Mhm.
I think in the Philippines, we for sure we have a good curriculum, and activities.
Mhm.
Somehow activities might be limiting, but
Mhm.
if we look into exploring activities, working with other schools abroad,
Mhm.
or schools from other areas, or schools, just engagement and partnership on certain topics. We actually have programs with China with a school in Makati. So they're meeting virtually and then talking about global citizenship education as well, because there are a lot of nuances per communities and per country. So the notion of certain topic from this area might be a little different from the Philippines. So it's a conversation, it's an engagement where you learn from each other. Yeah. So but again, policymakers have a big say on prioritizing global citizenship education. Let's say in the education would be the Ministry or Department of Education. We just complement like AFS as an organization that offers non-formal education complements to the classroom setup of education that the department has.
Yes, thank you, Sir Froshkan. Yes, and let me add to that as well. I guess there are also, yeah, you mentioned about it. There are opportunities where you can do virtual volunteering, right? And I guess it is also best if you could read more books. So according to Emily Dickinson, there's no fragate like a book that takes us lands away. So it's very
Yeah.
very important to be up to date with the current trends in global citizenship, and also to read as much information to educate yourselves as well.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, and we move on to our seventh question. As a student, how can I be a global citizen?
Well, I think I've mentioned also that in my presentation, but yeah, just to have the desire of improving your communication skills, improving your critical thinking skills. Look at the 21st century skills that are being appreciated by employers and all of that. But if you want to you have a tangible program, let's say that will require you to travel abroad, we have that in AFS, be an exchange student. If money is, or you do not qualify for a full scholarship or a partial, or even money is a problem, that again we have other virtual programs that are made accessible to those with financial burden, because again traveling will require an amount. It's not and as an organization that offers scholarship, we do not have that much as well, so we rely on governments and sponsorships that and sponsorship programs can be very targeted and limited. But if you have the desire, you I mean, right now you search about global citizenship education in Google, and there will be a lot of options actually. So to start with that, your school can actually partner with AFS with programs like this, or programs with welcoming foreign students in the classroom, to have someone, not you going out, but someone coming inside your classroom and bringing
That's
the world into your classroom, or bringing the world home into your family. So there are a lot of options actually to start with. As long as you have that desire, I think it will boil down to that desire of greater learning, of improving your skills. I will not label it as soft skills, because these are equally important skills, but like communication skills or critical thinking skills or decision making skills, these are important, that you probably do not learn that much in the classroom, but in real life experiences you learn more about this one. So it blends and complements with the learnings that you get from the classroom.
That's true. So we can expect more of you in our future webinars. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, so we can bring in the world to NOLITC as well, and to the participants of our webinars. And for our last question for this segment, in your own experience, what does it take to understand differences in gender preferences of different nationalities?
Well, it will boil down to my topic, the respect, the word respect. With my experiences traveling as well, not just a student, but working with the AFS, I've encountered different nationalities and different perspectives, personalities, and and nuances and notions on gender preference. I think you just really have to respect. We have in AFS a tool that we use. It's called DIVE, the DIVE method, so DIVE. If there is something that you encounter that is odd or strange in your own perspective, do not give judgment right away, because sometimes our judgment can be really negative. If you see something, you automatically, something like that.
Mhm.
It's wrong. It's wrong because your foundation is what you know. You do not
Mhm.
understand what their belief, and there are other theory concepts that we use. Let's say the iceberg theory
Right.
in defining culture. So what you see from the outside might not be really the meaning of a certain culture, or that's probably you're just being subjective to your pre-existing understanding of
Mhm.
gender. So with my interaction, I really, as much as possible, just suspend my judgment and try to understand better what's really is, how people act. Why is the color of their hair purple? How
Mhm.
come they dress like that? How come they act like that? Because again,
That's
there's no one point of reference. If you
Mhm.
want to really um, eradicate those many discrimination, because in
Mhm.
one way or the other, it's part of the human nature that we right away give judgment. But
Mhm.
as much as possible, what I'm trying to say is to just delay. You just delay the judgment, not right outright. You are giving your judgment because your judgment might be offensive. Your judgment might be hurtful. Your judgment might be discriminatory. So what I'm saying is
Mhm.
that you delay a little bit your judgment to
Mhm.
put a portion wherein you try to understand what's the real thing, on what you see. Let's say probably your judgment might be right, your judgment might be
Mhm.
wrong, but what's
Mhm.
important is towards that, you understand that, okay, this is different from what I'm accustomed to, from what I believe in.
Mhm.
But what's important is that you respect, because again,
Mhm.
as I mentioned, it might be different.
Mhm.
It's not right, it's not wrong, but it's just different. It's just
Mhm.
really different. There's no one
Right.
point of reference. Like
Mhm.
like my Filipino culture is not superior over the other cultures,
Mhm.
and your German culture is not superior over other, because
Mhm.
we will not understand each other truly if you will be like that. Like you will
Yes.
truly insist that again, people from Bacolod are like this and they're better, and like
Mhm.
all of that. What's important is that we appreciate each other's similarities and differences.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's hard sometimes to do, because again, the human nature is, again, right away you give judgment
That's
in
true. It's our nature.
and you part of our intercultural learning trainings. We introduce that dive models. You describe first what you see, and then you interpret. You can give negative or positive interpretation, but you validate. After your interpretation, you
Mhm.
have to validate. You can either talk to someone who is from that
Mhm.
culture, or talk to that person directly, and then
Mhm.
you evaluate what's your feeling towards that certain
Mhm.
circumstance or
Right.
situation. Are you okay with that? Or I mean,
Mhm.
you can acknowledge how you feel. I feel sad because in my culture it's like this, but I appreciate knowing that again in their culture it's like this. So it's not right, it's
Mhm.
not wrong, but it's just different. So, yeah.
Lovely. Yes. And I would like to add more to that as well. There is no standard, Sir Froshkan, right? Everyone is equally important, and we should always make it a mindset to have a positive perspective on looking at things. Yes. And
Yes.
everyone is beautiful, right? so
Thank you so much.
thank you for the
Oh,
insights
Mom
you have
Angie is
shared,
here.
right? And for answering the questions graciously. We have comments from our virtual audience, and they have posted their feedback, their learning and insights in the comments section. We have Miss Angeline here. All right. So
Yes. Mom
AFS
Angie
still.
is a volunteer from Zamboanga City and a teacher as
Mhm.
well. Has been part of our organization for many years already. And
Yes.
her kids also went on a program with us. So she's
Mm.
been involved with AFS programs. Hi, Mom Angie.
Right. And the presence of Miss Angie is actually a manifestation that learning continues. See,
Yes.
she's here and attending the webinar. We also have another comment from Vance Tabero Cirila. Respect means that you accept somebody for who they are, even when they are different from you
Yeah.
or you don't agree with them. Respect in your relationships builds feelings of trust, safety, and well-being.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Nice written. Thank you, Sir Vance.
Yes, and
Galing,
oh,
yeah.
he also defined equality here, right? Treat every man and every woman as a human. Neither is superior nor better nor more intelligent, nor more hardworking. It's better to learn to appreciate and not to discriminate. A country built on good morals is a healthy one.
Yeah,
That's true.
I was telling you, Miss Red, a while ago before we
Mm.
went online that I'm really interested to hearing or reading these insights and
Mhm.
feedbacks actually, because again, there might be other definition, other feedback
Mhm.
that resonates to the topic. So I appreciate those who are,
Mhm.
putting
Yes.
their comments.
Right. And they are also exercising validation in the dive model.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, I agree.
Very good that our audience are manifesting their intercultural competencies. True. Right. And yeah, so if you are listening to us right now, please keep those comments, those insights and feedbacks coming, because Sir Frosh can actually love to read and to hear your insights from this learning experience.
Yeah.
And before we end this segment, do you have any last words or parting message?
Yeah, I would like to thank NOLITC for such wonderful initiative, and we are in line with your programs and advocacies. And thank you for believing in AFS, and thank you for those who attended our webinar. And it's
Mm-hmm.
truly heartwarming to see your comments, and for staying for 2 hours. Sometimes it's a lot of people now are Zoom fatigue, and I appreciate those who stayed from the beginning
Mm-hmm.
until now. And I have my friends and classmates from law school
Mm-hmm.
who are here and been sending my
Oh,
sending
hello.
messages, screenshots, and our volunteers and some of our
Mm-hmm.
families. But thank you to our participants from Negros. Thank you so much, and we hope that
Mm-hmm.
again. We sometimes organize in person activities
Mm-hmm.
in NOLITC actually for
Yes.
hosting events of AFS. So we hope that again we'll see each other. Thank you so much for the opportunity and for
Mm-hmm.
giving your ears to me for listening.
Right. Thank you, Sir Frashkan. And we have additional feedback here from Sir Prasant from
Thank
India. No?
you. Thank you,
Thank you for
Prasad.
the wonderful, insightful webinar. It is. Yeah.
We also
So
have
our
AFS India actually, so you can message AFS India as well to be involved in their
right.
activities.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because yeah, AFS is an international organization. So thank you so much again, Sir Frushkan. So we have heard Mr. Frushkan Abdurrahim talk about global citizenship education with special focus on respect for gender. He imparted to us that we should always practice how to suspend judgment, no, exercise respect, and practice the dive model in relating to others. And also, he has said that global citizenship education is a required competency nowadays and an essential tool to empower the next generation of leaders to communicate, negotiate, and collaborate across differences. So again, thank you for attending this learning session with us. And back to you, Miss Sally.
Thank you so much, Ms. Red. So we would like to express our heartfelt appreciation to our speaker, Mr. Froskan of Durahim, and to our moderator, Ms. Red Donjoy Laurente, for facilitating this webinar. These discussions have made us all aware of the importance of global citizenship education. And just want to share a quote I learned from today's webinar is that we turn gender equality into a lived reality. Yes, I do agree with that. Shall we give them a virtual round of applause, please? So now we have to move on to the awarding of certificate to our speaker. And the certificate reads, Province of Negros Occidental, Negros Occidental Language and Information Technology Center. Certificate of Appreciation is presented to Mr. Froskat Abdurrahim. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable expertise and commendable service extended as resource speaker in the Global Citizenship Education Respect for Gender webinar, given this 7th day of December 2021 via YouTube and Facebook live stream. Sir Froskat?
Thank you, Miss Ellie, for the certificate and for the opportunity. It's my honor, it's my privilege to impart our knowledge and experiences to our virtual participants.
Yeah, it's our pleasure to, Sir Froscan. Okay, so we will just email to you the signed certificate. Okay, so as for the province of Negros Occidental, through our Governor Eugenio Sebong Lacson, we continue to deliver responsive gender and development programs. And to conclude this event with a hopeful note, let us hear from the ever-supportive Provincial GAD Focal Point System in charge, Ms. Marijan P. Castro.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you and congratulations to all involved in the conduct of this GAD webinar. To our resource person, we truly appreciate your sharing of your time and insights in today's episode of the GAD Webinar Series 2021, organized by the Negros Occidental Language and Information Technology Center. Our participants are indeed blessed and privileged to be able to hear your inputs. NOLITC is living up to its title as one of our GAD champions, a multi-awarded institution that not only inspires but also cares for the trainees and their families and the larger community as well. By coming up with this webinar, NOLITC has indeed recognized that all issues are women's issues, that the COVID-19 pandemic will not stop us from addressing issues that matters, especially if they affect our youth, our children, who are considered our future. We thank NOLITC for providing a safe way of educating our constituents. As the Action Officer of the Provincial GAD Focal Point System, I join my fellow GAD advocates in telling our young Negrenses that you are important, you are loved, not only by your family, but also by your provincial government. Thank you and congratulations to all. Avance, Negrense.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Jean Castro. We also would like to thank our active participants for tuning up to the end of this session. I would also like to emphasize how you can get your certificate for this webinar. Please provide us with your evaluation through the link provided in our description, in the description box below, or you may scan the code being flashed on your screen right now. Okay, so the evaluation link will be open, and please type your email address correctly. Be careful with the spelling of your email address and your name as well. Okay, the evaluation site will only be open until 12 midnight. Yeah. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes our GAD Webinar 8, Global Citizenship Education, Respect for Gender. On December 15, we will have another exciting webinar on 2D animation. See you using the same platform that you are currently using. And if you have registered, definitely you will receive an email reminder of our upcoming webinar. So that's it, everyone. Stay safe and take care. Get vaccinated. NOLITC cares. NOLITC inspire. Avance. Negrense.
Besh, nakabakuna ka na? Amligan, ang ikaayong lawas, magpabakuna na para abanse ka.